Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of today's episode of Stabbin' and Burnin'. Stabbin' and Burnin'. So, we skipped because this one's on me. I was so excited to see the manor get lit on fire that we skipped the whole review of the beliefs and the instincts and all the other important shit in this role-playing game. So, let's do that, shall we? Do you want to review these things?
Sure.
We'll save. Are you okay with being saved for last, Woodsman? I want to give you some time to think about your perforated trait. Actually, perforated is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't you start us off, Rooster?
Cool.
What are your beliefs, your instincts, and your traits?
My beliefs are I'd kill that tyrant again if I could, but I'll have to settle for what's left of the masters, which you check that one off the list because I just killed Duke Ilan or at least contributed.
Oh, did you? Because I feel like you did not.
So my thing says Duke Ilan dies next. It doesn't say I have to kill him. Just that I have to be involved.
You power gaming bastard.
Rooster just wants him dead.
Yeah. So this is the thing. That criticism is very tongue in cheek. That's actually how you play. Like wanting a thing and wanting to do the thing are very different, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like if I was like, I must soak my hands in the blood of so and so, then I would have.
Right. I will have to murder him with my bare hands.
Yeah. My next belief is I've got some bad shit coming to me, and with good reason, but the woodsman deserves better. And I've added a new clause to that, which is to find some way to ease his recovery. I could die tomorrow. A pity to have all this money I can't take with me. Enjoy it now before I'm dead. Always defer to the nobility or whoever's in charge. These are my instincts now. When someone tries to touch me or connect emotionally, push them away. And when there is downtime, hone my fighting skills.
Cool.
I've got some traits. I'm masterless, scarred. I have a gambling addiction. I am pliant, silent, and brutish, as well as lame, broken, and stubborn.
God, I love those three: the pliant, silent, and brutish. Like the idea that like you seem like you're like a chained dog, right? Where it's like someone sees you and they're like, "Oh God, who's in charge of this guy? Oh my God."
Yep.
Yeah, like that's very cool. I like it. Good stuff. Okay, cool. And you made a couple of like minor adjustments, but nothing serious for your beliefs. Agnes, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Okay.
Mine are the same.
Okay.
My beliefs are knowledge is power. I will take advantage of every opportunity to read or otherwise absorb new material. And killing sucked, but I will do what is necessary to defend the interests of the 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then my instincts are when resting, practice my punches and kicks, strive for perfection and never work quickly, and always have bread for the party.
Mm-hmm.
For the party.
Could have put that fire out with bread.
Pretty sure that's not how it works. Bread is probably pretty flammable. I guess it depends on what kind of bread.
It would have just like smelled really bad, probably.
Yeah.
Just hurling loaves onto the fire. It'll be fine. I can fix this.
Okay, and then my traits are rabble rouser, geometric. Oh, what just happened?
I'm sorry, am I moving your character sheet around? I'm sorry.
I think so.
I'll just step away with my hands up.
Playing God. Drunk, broken in, backbreaking labor, flowery, perfectionist, woman of few words, big boned, determined, power hungry, and greedy.
Excellent. And some of those are cultural, and some of them are like how you actually are.
Yes.
Cool. I like it. Okay. Do you want to go next, Basil?
Sure. My beliefs are this curse sullies our accomplishments and it must be done at any cost. I will undermine any attempt to consolidate power under one ruler, aka no one man should have all that power, which is really the heart of it. I think I'm gonna just make that the whole of this belief. I think that's really what it is. And one's birth should never limit one's reach. I will create an organization to help those born to low standing. My instincts are, whenever you have a moment free, review the writings of my mentor, the philosopher Gertrude. Always share the victory and its spoils, and always fight dirty. My traits are haunted, muttering, cynical, cowardly, contemptuous, coiffed, mark of privilege, and your lordship.
Nice. And the quaffed in this case is the quaffing of the hair, not the quaffing of the ale.
Yes, it's the quaffing of the hair and the facial.
Coiffed.
Coiffed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Important distinction.
Yes.
Sweet. Now I'm just trying to think of other Kanye West lyrics that make appropriate or inappropriate.
I could go. We
beliefs.
could do this. Give me 20 minutes. I'll make it happen.
I played in a game once with someone who it was Dogs in the Vineyard that uses a similar sort of freeform trait system, and all of his traits were Johnny Cash lyrics. So
Perfect. That's actually perfect.
it's a thing you could do.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And our woodsman now raised unto the world from the land of the dead. What are your beliefs, your instincts, and your traits?
Okay, so my beliefs are same as before. In betraying the ruler, I betrayed myself and my family, so I won't let myself be close with anyone. And I think the world is a cold, violent place, and life has little meaning, so I don't mind risking mine without pause. And I'm still without a third belief.
That's a great thing about nihilism is no matter how shitty things are, you can just be like, yeah, see, I knew it. I knew it would be like this.
At least you're always right.
You wake up from having been horribly stabbed, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. I want to build a third trait around one of the characters, but I haven't been able to interact with anyone this game. So
I mean, you can write a belief about that. Like, I don't need these losers. That's
Yeah.
a valid belief. I am my own man.
Or I wish I was friends with so-and-so. That's what I did.
Yeah, I wish someone would help me not suffer so bad. Well, the great thing is that you didn't actually, you were unconscious, so you didn't actually get to see any of the hard work that everyone put into making sure you didn't die.
yeah.
And like rescuing you and shit. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Plus, they didn't know how sort of foolish I was in getting injured. Maybe they think I was heroic in my attempt.
Yeah, exactly. Disconnect on both sides.
Yeah.
So my instincts are I'm immediately suspicious of strangers and never let my guard down around them. Let's see, I don't sleep at night, or I don't sleep well at night, so I always wander, and this I actually added, so call me out on it if it's not cool. But I basically took the whole like wandering at night thing to have more meaning or be more applicable. So I said like I use the late hours to hone my skills.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that'll be an easy instinct to. All you have to do if you want fate points is be like, I just don't sleep and I practice this instead, and I can be like, cool, roll a health test. Cool, it sucks not sleeping, but hey, you get the practice time in.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, and this is the third one. I just added this today.
Is it
I basically
don't get stabbed with halberds?
stay away from halberds at all costs. No. Basically, at the first hint of danger, my instinct is to conceal myself rather than engage something.
Nice. That's a great. Yeah, that's a fantastic belief. At the first sign of danger, conceal yourself.
Yeah, and even when I'm with the party, not just like,
Especially, yeah. Let them deal with that shit. Cool.
all right.
And your traits?
My traits are broken man, fearless, mind-numbing work, alcoholic, determined, greedy, entrepreneurial. And for this new one, I'm torn on it because, I mean, you suggested ulcer as something physical that would relate to my injury and stuff. So
having
that
your stomach perforated.
I was like looking through the book to see if there's anything physical, but it's like pretty much all not physical stuff. There was a prominent scar, and I was thinking like, could that play into interactions in any way? Like, if I just have some like horrible, distracting scar, but I don't know.
I mean, they don't have to come from the book either. Like it's just a trait that represents, this lost die. Your character has less fort, which is like you're less resilient because you got stabbed twice in the stomach. And we just need a name for it.
So like for ulcer, that just relates to me having less fort.
Yeah. It'll have no other effect unless you call on it. And I was thinking that, like, the reason I thought of, like, how, like, your character got stabbed and maybe your stomach was, like, cut open and didn't heal right, is that your character is also an alcoholic. So it's going to be a rough fucking scene for you. You're just, like, drinking all the time and it hurts so bad, but you can't stop. Your character was a mess before, dude. So,
All right, let's go with that.
yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I trust you to make good use of that trait. Okay, cool. So let's see how long it takes and how much time you have in town. I guess my question is, well, would you, as a group, like you won't wake up, so you don't get this choice, woodsman. For the rest of you, would you try to move him? Would you be like, okay, we're gonna put him on a wagon and take him back to the capital, or do you just want to like settle down here for now and like get shit under control?
What was the idea? Like, I mean, what was the long-term plan for this region?
You were not let in on that.
Okay.
You were just supposed to go and lead a heroic, retrieval of Graushad, try to like bring in the Duke for questioning, or for justice.
Right.
Have him meet Madame Guillotine. And then it wasn't clear after that.
Agnes would vote for squatting.
Oh yeah,
castle and reading and chilling until shit cools down.
yeah. You could just live in this castle
Yeah,
for.
I've spent the majority of
Exactly.
my time in the library.
Get to know
Yeah.
it.
Well, and that's what we'll talk about. That's what we'll talk about in a minute. So, because you'll have time to do stuff while the woodsman is healing.
Can we at least send word back that we've successfully
Absolutely, yeah.
and that we are, we will hold the town basically for the time being until they send word otherwise, and we're waiting for one of our comrades to heal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rooster. What do you?
I mean,
what's your vote
at
on this
point,
matter? You just following orders.
I'm following orders totally. I'm deferring to whatever Basil is saying to do.
Okay. So, a midi wound takes 2 to 12 weeks to recover from. So, Colin, can you roll 2d6 for me? Okay. All right. So, you recover from your first midi wound in 11 weeks.
Jesus.
So, assuming that the world that we are set in for the sake of ease has the same basic shape and distance from the sun, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, it takes you almost, 3 months to get better from being stabbed? So, everybody else, you have 11 weeks before he's, like, conscious. He's essentially in a coma for 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
What's everybody doing in Graustadt?
I read the entire library.
I mean, maybe part of it. Depends on how fast you read.
Not fast.
I have a list of things.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Okay, so I know that some of you, have instincts around this. So you can instinctively do that. That's the first thing that your character thinks to do.
Right.
But otherwise, we can
locked to that.
log practice tests for stuff.
Right. How does that work?
So practice tests. I'm just gonna find the section here. They give you tests basically. So you pick the skill or thing you want to do, and then every cycle there's a test that's made available to you. So for example, like you were talking about raising your fort, right, Rooster?
Yeah.
Okay, so fort is on a 2-month cycle. So you can add 1 test in 2 months. But it doesn't have to be all at once. It's not like you have to just go 2 months straight. You can make note of how much time you have and then pick up the 2 months later. So you can get 1 test and then part of the way, right? Because it's like, I guess you can get almost 2. You can get 1 and a third tests. And depending on what kind of test you're angling for, it'll take 4 hours a day, 8 hours a day, or 16 hours a day of practice. to do that?
So I'm gonna go for a difficult test.
Okay, 8 hours every single day for 2 months. You practice your fort. So what does that look like?
I think it's Rooster like working out, basically.
Awesome. So Basil, if you need him for anything, he's just lifting. That's it.
Like in the yard or whatever, like got like the training dummy out, or maybe he like cobbles one together, and it has like the Duke's hat on it. And
So
like,
awesome.
kicking the shit out of it every day. And
Great.
in this way of like, it's not very like disciplined training. Like he just runs himself to exhaustion, like hitting this thing.
Right.
Basically, it's like there's a certain like wild dog kind of vibe to it.
I personally, and I'm a lazy slob, I cannot imagine working out for 8 hours a day every day for 2 months, like just straight, just like
And
intense.
yeah, like Rooster
endurance
doesn't
training.
know any other life. Like when he was a child,
Yeah.
he was in the fighting pits, and then when he was a like tween and teenager, he was in the army,
Yeah.
and then he was in the army, and then he was in the army. He spent his whole life like that's all he knows. So he doesn't. It's not like he doesn't understand the idea of like having fun time. Like he just goes like works and works and works and works.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
That's like my day job, and then in my like time outside of that, I want to be pursuing this idea of finding something to help ease the woodsman's recovery, which I think is me looking for booze for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I know what this guy likes. He likes to get drunk all the time.
That's right. Cool.
So I'm gonna try to like scavenge up, like in the manor or whatever, find some.
Sure. Well, yeah. Let's talk about practice tests first, and then we'll talk about kind of the ongoing maintenance of Graustadt and like what's going on at the sort of
Cool.
like narrative level there. So Agnes, what are you doing with most of your time?
So I guess my primary instinct would be to practice boxing, as that is my first instinct.
Sweet. So I mean, are you gonna do that, or are you distracted by the library?
Well, can I do both? Can I do like half day this, half day that,
Sure.
or like
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah. So let's talk about what martial skill. So martial skill has a cycle of 1 month.
Uh-huh.
So you could conceivably get 2 3/4 of a test. What kind of tests are you looking for? Do you want to spend 2, 4, or 8 hours a day practicing your kung fu?
4.
4? Okay, cool. Yeah. So you can mark 2 difficult tests if you need them.
Okay.
Oh, also, there's one thing we're missing.
What's that?
There is a cap on how much time you can spend practicing based on
Correct.
will.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
3 times.
3
well.
times your will for a number of hours. Yeah. So what's your will?
Oh, okay. 4.
Okay, so you could, if you wanted to, kung fu for 12 hours a day.
12 hours.
Yeah, your will is intense. Does that modify your practice time at all, Andrew?
My will is 3, so I can do 9 hours
9
a day.
hours.
if I
Okay,
need to.
so you are fine. Cool. God, I love that. It's such an elegant rule. Like, yeah, totally. I'm sure you as a player wants to do this, but your character gets bored. You get bored as fuck and you quit.
Yeah, or like tired or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so you're spending 4 hours a day karate chopping things. Are you
Yeah.
doing this alone, or like what does that look like? Because you learned your like self defense from not a soldier, right?
Right. Yeah. It was just with a group of tradesmen.
Yeah, the like
People that
people's
wanted to protect themselves.
yeah the people's self defense network.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So what I would actually like to do, if possible, is try to teach some of these townspeople, these villagers, how to defend themselves while I'm practicing myself.
Okay, well let's
Because
there's
I
this.
want to continue that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Learning.
That's
This
totally
is-
cool.
I'm happy that you're doing this. This is also what I had in mind, and I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Our ridiculous vision for this village now. It's the best.
Well, I mean, sure, we can. Let's talk about that after, because the
Okay.
people in this village are not like, "Yay, we're saved." They're like,
Right.
"Fuck you."
Yeah.
We're
a little scary.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fair.
you did just ride up and like kill their duke.
Yeah.
So, and plus a bunch of other people, but
I mean, I didn't vote for that Duke.
nobody voted
Nobody
for the duke, and that's
Yeah.
the problem.
That's the thing. Like, they weren't happy then.
Right, but unhappy and familiar beats unhappy and uncertain, right?
Yeah.
For
Now
most,
they're unhappy and scared.
I mean, I don't want to like, assume how late medieval peasantry felt about stuff, but if I were in that position, I would probably be like, okay, cool. Well, I was kind of miserable before, but I knew what I was supposed to be doing, and now I don't know what the fuck's going on, and these new people are in charge. So there is a skill called instructor that you can log some tests towards, but we can figure that out in a second. So you can get good at teaching people things, and that's something that I really like about the way that the skill system works too. Is that you can be good at teaching, and then that skill applies to anything you want to teach people. So if you're a good teacher, you can teach whatever you're good at to anybody else, and it makes for a really good instinct where you're like, whenever we have downtime, teach Rooster how to read. Or whatever, and you can both log tests because the instructor rolls, but it grants tests to the person learning.
So what do I do to boxing? What do I mark?
So you get if you spend 4 hours. Well, what do you need for tests? Let me grab your character sheet because we're gonna try to angle you for advancement on boxing. So your boxing skill is 4. So you need 4 routine and 2 difficult. So you can get these 2 difficult tests if you want to by spending 2 months just punching and kicking for 4 hours a day.
Okay.
Okay. So just go ahead and mark those two difficult tests for boxing.
Cool.
And then that leaves you with a month left to scale it back and just do 2 hours a day, and that'll get you a routine test if you want to do that.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. And then. Sorry, go ahead.
There's one other thing that she wants to do. She wants to, and this might be detrimental, but she wants to seek out the washerwoman's husband.
Cool.
Okay.
And attempt to make amends there because she knows it's important for the revolution that we're not seen as these like horrible people. So I basically find him and I tell him that, oh, I'm echoing a little bit. Can anyone else hear that?
Yeah.
What just happened?
I don't know. You're cursed.
Dang it.
It's not too bad.
Sorry. Okay, well, I'll make it quick. I want to tell him that I'm sorry and explain to him that it was in the best interests of keeping these people safe. And I offer to dig the grave for her and do the burial myself.
Okay, cool. We can definitely play that scene out. Okay, and then Basil, how about you?
All right. So I have 5 will, which means I can practice 15 hours a day. Listen,
Hardcore.
when you live in the woods for 15 years, I'm now echoing too. So
I think somebody's audio output is causing the echo. So let's try it. Everybody that isn't me and Austin, hit mute for a second.
Hey.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody. Right. I blame no headphones, Andrew.
Probably.
Okay, go ahead.
So with those 15 hours, the first thing I want to do.
Man. 15 hours. So you have 9 hours to not do whatever it is that you're being hardcore about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get this is an easy one. This is for a martial skill. I just need 1 more routine sword test, which is 2 hours a day for a month. So that's going to advance my sword.
Okay, good work.
And then I think with the remainder, I'm going to start to work towards advancing philosophy. Of course, that is a school of thought, and that takes the thing I need for philosophy to advance at this point. I need a bunch of stuff, but
oh my God. Well, yeah, philosophy is intense. So for people who are not referring to the book directly, you get 1 test every 6 months. Yep. And if you practice philosophy for 3, 6, or 12 hours a day,
so I'm going to try to start working towards that challenging test for 2 months.
Goddamn,
12 hours a day. I'm just reading his. I think I'm going through my books. I'm like rereading Gertrude's philosophies, but also we have this library, And it's important to read. If you're going to be a Marxist, you should probably read Adam Smith too. So like, I am studying not only my own philosophies, but also the philosophies of the old order.
Sure.
And that's what I'm working on here to get this challenging test, which I'm not even. I'm still need 4 more months of 12 hours a day to get the test.
Being a nerd, super hard.
Yeah, it's super tough. It turns out it's super tough.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So we filled in the like practice time. You get nice and familiar with Gertrude. So I think that the thing is like it. What are you trying to like actively manage the town? Or are you just kind of like being like, go about your business, people? While
No,
we
I'm
occupy the
absolutely
castle?
trying to actively manage the town at this point.
Okay.
Real quick, how do I do the advancement here? Do I just clear the current?
Yeah, clear all the tests you have and then bump the number up.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So, Woodsman, you recover from your midi wound.
Sweet.
So you can just clear that action. And yeah, 11 weeks after you were stabbed, you regain consciousness, basically. You've been out for a long time. Like a season has passed. When was it? It was like... Did we discuss what season it was? Like where we were
Late summer,
chronologically?
if I remember correctly.
Okay, all right, cool. So it's like winter's on its way. It's probably started to snow a little bit. Y'all are pretty far north, and cool. So the revolutionaries show up and they just like kill the Duke and then hole up in his castle and then just read books for months.
I have a couple extra hours.
Sure, I assume the 12 hours that you're what, like sleeping 6 hours, reading for 12, and then
doing the estate management stuff with the rest, right? Which is like making sure that the people here can eat, making sure that like nothing here is about to fall apart, and that at the very least, if they hate us, it's not because we've fucked up their lives. It's just for some weird ideological reason, because they haven't developed class consciousness yet. That's fine. If they hate us for that reason, that's fine. But it can't be because we failed to feed them.
Okay. So I mean, basically, then you're just doing what the Duke did.
Yeah. But except that I'm like making sure that like I'm trying to make sure our soldiers contribute to labor when necessary. I'm like making sure that they have support from the city coming in if we need things like that.
Okay, so you're working on the logistical stuff,
right? Also, I don't tax them. Like I'm not taking their money. So. Okay.
That is confusing and upsetting to them.
Yeah, well, they'll learn.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you make estate management is for ensuring the estate, its workers, animals, rolling stock, and crops are well maintained and tended to. You want to make sure the village is ready for winter, right? That's
yes. Okay.
Yes. All right. So go ahead and make that roll. It'll be an odd 2 estate management test.
Can I fork in anything here at all? Hunting? Can I fork in hunting?
No.
Not
unless you're personally going out and hunting.
I'll go out and
assisting in the hunt. No, that's not. You can't do that and estate manage.
Okay. Are you sure? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
You just not sleep ever?
I can practice for 15 hours a day. Right now, I'm only practicing for 14 hours a day.
Here's a question for everybody. Does anybody have a resources higher than 0?
Yes. I have a high resources.
We're going to talk about what happens to your like money and shit while you're out of town.
Okay. I have 3 resources.
Oh, hot damn.
Yeah.
Wow. So if this doesn't work, you can just write a letter home and be like, send ducats.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Okay. Yep. That's fine.
Let's make this roll. My superficial wound. What should I do with that?
Oh, you've definitely healed. Anybody else who's wounded has definitely healed by now.
Okay.
Unless you have nobody has like a higher wound than superficial. Superficial just goes away. Okay. All right.
Okay. Here we go. Let's see if I can fuck this up. I will probably fuck this up.
I hope that you don't, for the sake of these poor village. Never mind.
Oh boy, I can't even see it yet. My screen is too small. Let's see what my failure is.
2 to 4.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're resistant. They don't respond to you. No one's listening to what you want them to do. They're just like, yeah, combating you. The Ilia Duval, the Duke's daughter, she doesn't actually leave.
That's fair.
I think that there's a point where she's like, when you tell her that her father is dead, she decides not to go. She's like, I have to stay in Graustadt, but she doesn't know what to do. Like she was never groomed for like leadership. So you see her in the castle. Everyone does. You see her occasionally, but she doesn't help.
Okay.
You'll have to try to win her over to that or prepare her or whatever. But she's just like, she can't leave. This is all she knows.
Okay.
Yeah. So the villagers, it's going to be a hard winter. They're set to suffer when the cold weather comes in. Despite your best efforts, maybe if you hadn't spent all day every day reading books, you big dork.
Listen, I'm gonna get better. This is the only way you get better at things, is by reading books.
If you don't understand the theory, how are you supposed to be good at the practice?
Exactly.
So I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Question the first.
Yeah.
Right after we killed the Duke, Basil was like, Rooster, go take a bunch of stuff. You earned it. Can that just be like I get some cash dice or something?
Yeah, if you just want to loot like sellables, yeah, you can take a die of cash dice for sure.
Cool. Question number 2 is that I wanted to find some liquor for the woodsman.
That's right. Okay.
Can I do that?
Definitely. Graustadt Castle has a finely stocked wine cellar.
And who do I need to kill in order to get some of it?
Nobody, because the castle's pretty much abandoned now.
Right.
So you can just take what you want. You don't know anything about vintage or whatever, but there's lots of wine in the cellar.
Well, thankfully, neither does my intended recipient. So.
Yeah. Well, let's see your intended recipient. I want to see Rooster go to church. So how long is it before somebody goes to check on? When does this happen? Is this early? Is this late?
To check on
the woodsman.
I think I do that within like a day or 2. Okay. Is this like bring him some wine plan?
Yeah. Well, let's zoom in. Let's take a look at that then. Your woodsman, you're conscious. Because I'm gonna say, like, yeah, you're not like in a straight up like depths of a coma all the time, but you just can't like get up and move around, and like you're kind of out of it. But during a lucid period, an old friend, big sarcastic quotation mark, comes bearing a gift. I also want to talk to you a little bit about what your relationship with the nun, with the sister, because she's the only person that's around you most of the time. So we'll do that after this, but. So Rooster, you get to this church, and it's an old like stone church. It was built, probably as Graustadt Castle was being built. All the rest of the village sprung up kind of around those 2 structures, and it's designed to be sturdy and tough, and it's not like ostentatious. Like the old religion didn't have a lot of like big iconography. There's no golden statues or anything. And it's as much a meeting hall as it is a church. And the sister, whose name you don't know, I'll reveal that when we find out if the woodsman gives a shit or not. She's around, but when you arrive, she makes herself scarce. Like she finds somewhere else to be. So you get there, and it's, I don't know, let's say it's like mid-morning. It's cold. There's like a cold wind that started to blow, so you come in from outside, and it's it's surprisingly warm for such a large building. And woodsman, you are recovering in the church.
And yeah, I've got like a cask of something, like not a like full on huge barrel, but just this like little mini keg kind of thing going on, just like under one arm. And I kind of like shake the cold off and walk over slowly because I have a limp.
So I guess as soon as I sort of, turn to see you and probably stare at you and like size you up for a minute or like a few seconds, and like the recognition comes back because obviously it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Like, you're still here. What's that? Looking at the stuff you're holding.
It's spoils of victory. And I like plop it down next to wherever you're laid out.
Victory, eh? Did you get to murder your duke?
I watched him die at the very least. Basil had to take the helm, as you might expect.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I'm sorry I didn't take care of that for you. I got held up.
Happens.
So the woodsman is like probably in like the highest spirits any of you have ever seen him in, which is like not to say very high.
Like a 3 or a 4.
But yeah, like you're like kind of in a good mood in this weird.
So he like sort of sits up in bed and like, you know, maybe reaches over and for the stuff, and like as he does that, just like groans like, ugh, like because because of his injury, and like
your rooster like puts a hand out like I'll take care of this, and then I like smash open the cask because it's not tapped or whatever. I just like break one of the boards on the like round side, and then maybe I have like some tin cups or whatever, and I just like dip them in and hand you one.
Great. So the woodsman grabs it quickly out of his hand and just tilts it up and takes the entire drink and then slams it down.
Yeah, and I think that as soon as you get that like that sweet like brandy or whatever in your mouth, it's like for a few seconds one of the like greatest things, because you know you haven't had a drink in a while, and it's fantastic. You're like, yes, oh my god, booze. That familiar warmth starts to spread through you, and then you swallow it, and then it's just like being stabbed all over again, like just horrible burning in your stomach, and you like double over.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just like clutching myself, like sort of doubled over in bed.
And Rooster was like about to drink and then just puts it down. Did I get the wrong barrel?
Okay. So I'm like doubled over in bed, but like sort of squinting in pain at the rooster. I'm like, I see him put his drink down. I'm like, what's the matter? Finish your drink.
And I just like shrug, and then dying man gets his wish, and I put one back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like hard liquor.
Do you go back for more, woodsman? Like the pain eventually subsides.
Yeah. As soon as the rooster takes his drink and I see him do it, I like reach one hand out. I'm still like sort of sideways, but I hand up like just like asking for another without actually saying anything.
And yeah, I just like take your cup, fill it again.
Okay, so this time I grab it and I'm just like, I don't say thanks or anything. I'm just like, and take a sip this time. I don't chug the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I sort of look up and for the first time kind of look around at my surroundings, and I'm like, so where are we? Is this that castle?
Oh, you're in the church now. And like I sit down next to you. I don't grab another drink or anything. I'm just sitting there kind of looking, not even looking at you, just like looking out at the church. But I'm hanging out, keeping you company. Maybe it's weird. I don't know. It's probably pretty awkward. I don't think Rooster really talks to people.
And ultimately the woodsman probably just ends up focused sort of just down into the cup, just sort of, pondering. That's it.
Yeah.
I think the more you drink, the less the pain like bothers you, and at some point, Rooster, the woodsman passes out. If you like, I don't know, is that how like, how much do you drink? I guess woodsman like.
I mean, I chugged that first thing that he gave me, but I'm just sipping it, the second one, so I don't know if I'm like in a condition where that first one that rapidly would have knocked me out or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is like, when either of you like, when do you terminate this like social interaction, right? Because I mean, the pain comes back for you, like you feel it constantly, but eventually it'll either be the pain is too much and you end up like falling asleep or passing out, or you drink till you pass out, or I guess my question is like, Rooster, do you like bail before that happens?
I think for Rooster, there's a certain like solemnity and like sense of the importance of this kind of interaction because like as a dude who was in the army and who had like I lost my freaking leg from the knee down, like it was very like important, this idea of like helping out your comrades when they're injured. And so like that phrase of dying man gets his way was like, that was like a saying, that was like a thing in the like slave army. That was like the one time you actually got treated well, as if you were like really messed up. And so yeah, like Rooster like sits next to the woodsman until the woodsman like passes out. And if the woodsman doesn't want to talk, then Rooster doesn't talk, but he sits there and he hangs out and like waits.
I would like to propose that I don't actually pass out from that first drink. And,
Yeah.
And at some point, I sort of stiffly, like, sort of just lurch out of bed, like really haphazardly. And I sort of set my empty cup down next to the Rooster, and I don't say anything, but I look at him and sort of like wink in like a sort of like appreciative way, just like you did the right thing sort of message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like start walking to the door, like, and I'm probably like just hobbling to the door. And I just mutter under my breath, I'm gonna go find my bow.
And I think Rooster knows that this is a bad idea and it's just like, well, I can go get your bow for you. You need to be on the mend. You're in no condition to be out there. Look what happened to you.
I'm awake now, aren't I?
Now, is this before that? Sorry, let's give me a moment here. Is this before the woodsman is recovered or after the woodsman is recovered?
I mean, we were intentionally kind of like loose.
Kind of wherever. So like maybe this is the day where he finally like
Yeah.
is able
Sure.
to get up.
I mean, you can decide. Like the two of you can figure this out. Like either this is like the end of the 11 weeks, and you're like, I'm gonna go find my bow, and you do, or it can be like, I'm gonna go find my bow, and then you walk out into the street and collapse.
Yeah. So I'll leave that up to you, Colin. Rooster like walks and is like concerned, but until you like seem to be really struggling, he's not gonna step in.
I think after you sort of protest initially, and I'm at the door, and you're probably not quite at the door yet. I sort of like I have it open, but I'm also kind of like leaning on it, and I like turn around and sort of look back, and I'm like, I've got it, yeah. and I just try to leave.
Okay. So, I mean, you step out into the like onto the road basically, and yeah, it's cold. It's cold as hell. There's a wind blowing down from the north. And how far do you get? Where do you go?
So if there's any villagers or anything in immediate sight, I probably go to them because I want to ask.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of houses around. I think that maybe there's I don't know. There's like a man on the like front, like out front of his house, and he's got like a couple of kids. Maybe he's like chopping wood, and his kids are like playing in the front of the house. And he looks up when you emerge from the church and kind of gives you like, he doesn't let go of the axe, but he kind of gives you a look like, well, who's this guy?
Yeah, so I walk up to him, and I don't like shake his hand or anything. I just sort of stand at like 5 or 6 feet from him, and I like, hey, sir, you are you aware of the people who took over your village or whatever? Did that happen a couple weeks ago? Like maybe a week ago?
And is this did you decide, like, is this at the end of the, you just don't know how long it's been, or?
I don't know. No.
Okay, so this is this is the woodsman not knowing. Okay.
But I have no idea how long it's been.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you cut such an interesting figure here, because you're like shirtless, but you have like a like like the sheet or whatever that was covering you, like wrapped around you. You don't even know where your like your regular clothes are. You stagger out in your like bandages into the street and just like address the first peasant you see, who sees this like bloody apparition emerge from the church. And he like his nearest kid, he like puts his arm out and like gets the kid behind him, kind of stares at you, and he says, "I'm sorry."
You know, there was people with probably soldiers, and there was fighting. I know I heard it. There was all sorts of shouting and fighting, and you know, do you know where all those people went? Are they up at the castle? Also, where is the castle?
Yeah, he looks up. He looks up to the castle, which you can see in the distance. It's a ways off yet. You can see it up through the winding path leads up there. He looks up to it and looks back to you, and he kind of nods. He's like, "That's where you want to go." Yep. And like he's like ushering his children back inside.
All right, so I don't say anything further to him, and I just turn off in that direction and head up the street or whatever it is towards the castle.
Okay.
And sort of groaning every few steps.
Rooster, what do you want to do? You just watch him go.
How far have I gotten before anyone's concerned?
I mean, people give you none of the villagers will come anywhere near you. That's just why I'm asking Rooster. Do you interject at all here?
I think I shrug and like have my little like pouch of money that I still have held on to, and I'm just like look around where the soldiers are, and then I walk there because I'm gonna go gamble it away.
Okay, all right.
It's just like, cool, I did a good thing. I'm out of here.
So I think you leave. You go in another direction. There's a couple of houses. Actually, no. I think the logging camp is where the soldiers have been hanging out. It's like been converted temporarily into where the like soldiers that have stayed in Graustadt have just like.
Okay, yeah. So I head off to go there, which takes me a while, I'm sure. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Just wanted to have a scene where Agnes is like burying that woman, right?
Yeah. I want to make sure we have time for that too. So, I want to know. So I want to have something like short between Basil and Agnes over the research, because you specifically asked Basil. You specifically asked Agnes to like research for stuff about the curse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that you did, Agnes?
Oh, sorry. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I probably spent like 60% of my time in the library over these last couple of weeks.
Nice.
Just pouring myself over anything I could grab. Not really looking for any subjects in particular, but just reading as much as I possibly could.
Right, like making notes on the subject that Basil was instructing you to, but not really explicitly looking for it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't you make a research test for me?
Okay.
It's based on perception.
All right.
And we'll say, I'll leave it open. Just roll it against obstacle 1. And we'll.
Can I modify it with read?
You cannot, unless you do have research.
Oh, I have read.
Yeah. You're using you can't research without read, but you don't have the skill yet, so you can't fork it.
Can I help her with research?
I would like to know where you conjure the hours in the day to do that.
I only practiced sword for that first month.
Right. Okay. So this is just during that period.
Like,
okay. Perfect.
Yeah. In fact, another way to think about that is like, I don't know, maybe this doesn't work out because of the way this works, but like, can we conceptually think about it as like one day, 3 days a week I'm practicing sword with this time, and
we
the other
we
day,
don't have to be exacting about like hours in the day, but that
so,
makes sense. So you only do it for the first little while.
Yeah. I
so
only
this
do
is
that
quite
one.
this is quite early on.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, yeah, you can totally help. What do you have to? I mean, I guess you don't have the skill, but you're helping with perception too.
Oh, okay. I could help with research. I have research. So.
Oh, okay. Well, it depends. Do you do it and get Agnes to help you, or is it the other way around?
It sounded like it was me telling her to do it. In a sense, the reason I asked Agnes to do that again, that for me was always share victory and its spoils. I know Agnes wants to look at these books, and I probably know I have a better shot of finding something, but
Okay.
I want her to feel good about herself. So I'm helping her do the role,
So
even at the
kind.
cost of not finding something right
Sure.
now.
Okay. All right. So yeah, same as before. You can help, but the test is all yours, Agnes.
So do I add 1 if he's helping?
Yeah, an extra die.
Okay. And what was my obstacle? Did you say 2?
Just put it in as 1, so we can just see how many successes you have, and then you get half as many because it's an open test. We just want to see how well you research. Nice. Okay, cool. So you get 2 successes. So I will tell you, basically the way research works is you get common knowledge for 1 ob, interesting facts for 2, relevant information for 3, and the more it goes up, the more specific and how that goes. So on the subject of curses, thankfully, the House Duval is a house well versed in being vindictive and vengeful, and much of the early records, the books you find are records of the house and of the history of Graustad. You read stories about both like folkloric content in of the local area, witches, curses, a lot of sort of fairy tales about the local woods, and by all accounts, if these are accurate, the woods around here are full of all kinds of terrifying monsters. Most of them will eat your children. That's a big theme.
Excellent.
But you do read about that evidently there's like a tribe of forest nomads that live in the western edges of the woods, and they're supposed to have there's a couple of stories of various people going to them for advice or for magical assistance.
Okay.
So that's a thing that is sort of relevant to the local area, and they continue along throughout the histories. Now, the Duke Duval was a voracious reader, so it's not just local history. Like these books, he has stories from books all over the world in a bunch of different languages. He's as much a collector of books as he is a reader too. So there's all kinds of fancy books here that you can't even read, and valuable too. So you have a pretty good idea at the very outset, just on the surface, of what kinds of material he has here. I guess you have now. The Revolution owns. But yeah. You could do this for months and months and months to absorb all of the information here. There's a lot of good stuff.
Okay.
Is there a name of the nomadic magic tribe people? That comes up?
No, they're referred to a bunch of different ways, but the just the people of the woods.
Okay.
The Graustad dialect of the local language might have a word for them, but it essentially means not villagers, the outsiders.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pocket that book, the Forest Nomads book, and rather than report back to him and talk to him about what I read, I write it up like it's a homework assignment.
Like a book report? Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I write up this big scroll
So
of forest nomad lore and hand
Awesome.
it off to you.
That's definitely how I also imagine my help is for you, is the way an advisor, as an advisor in a school.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what you have so far, and you could look into this direction maybe,
I basically see you as a philosopher because you know more about philosophy than I do. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with something, and you know, I think I do the thing shitty teachers do. They're just like, oh, yeah, that's good. Thanks. Just leave it on the desk, and then like leaves and like,
It'll look
what's
at
the say? What's the say? You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the people of the woods, right? The people of the woods. Of course, of course, of course.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's grab a break here, and when we get back, I want to see the bit between Agnes and the woodcarver. So
Oh boy.
let's do that. Let's see. I'm sure it's going to be totally not awkward at all.
Mm-hmm.
So stick around for that. See you in a few, everybody.